Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode on spiritual life coaching with myself and my team of spirit guides and angels who are here to help empower you and assist you on your journey in whatever way that may be for you. So today I want to talk to you guys about beginner's mind and how we can reflect and ponder and how we can incorporate beginner's mind into our spiritual journey. So for a lot of you guys watching right now, you might be considered very advanced on a spiritual journey and wanting to know more and more. And personally, from a personal experience, I am the kind of person who always wants to know more. I'm always questioning and I'm always pondering, I'm always wondering. And Spirit always has a message and always has an answer for everything that I ask, essentially. But the messages that have been coming through lately were something that Spirit wanted me to know, but also wanted me to share with a lot of you. And that was beginner's mind, was to step back and refocus, reshift, and then look at the situation from beginner's mind and how we can see how simple a lot of the conflicts or illusions are in our everyday life. So when I talk about beginner's mind, I want you to ask yourself what that means for you and how you can choose to see a situation from this point of view. And ultimately, it's going to be from your vantage point. When we talk about detaching, that's a word that you might hear very often when we have a situation or a problem that we're going through. A lot of the times we hear the word detaching. Essentially what that means is by pulling yourself back as a third person and observing the situation as a third person, and how we can maybe see a more simple explanation or simple solution as to oppose being in the situation and the chaos. If you could visually see you going through a problem or an illusion, you would see, let's say, a crowd of 10 to 20 people, and they're all in this bubble, and they're kind of like focusing, you know, like on a Black Friday or a Boxing Day deal, and you have a bunch of people kind of gathering around and they're shuffling. You can't necessarily see the clearest way out of that shuffling because you are stuck inside of it. But when you pull yourself back as a third person, you're now observing the situation as your higher self. You can now see a clear way out by detaching. So that essentially is kind of like beginner's mind. You're kind of giving yourself a new, fresh perspective on otherwise would be an old situation or scenario. So for beginner's mind, for me, I always come back to breath. It's always about breath work. So if you take the time to just sit still and close your eyes and breathe and focus just on the breath, you now become present. You can now offer yourself that opportunity to detach and to see a wider, fresher perspective on what most of the time is a very simple situation. So Spirit had also wanted me to talk about play, the art of playing, and how playfulness and simplicity and fun is a really big factor that we are missing in our everyday lives. So usually every journey that we take will always involve some sort of seriousness, but there doesn't necessarily need to be a seriousness about all topics in our lives. And when we incorporate play and fun into our everyday lives, again, it lightens the load. You offer that detached scenario point of view of how we can incorporate fun into otherwise what would have been known as a serious situation. So for a lot of us who are on an enlightened spiritual journey that we're going through and healing ourselves, there is a lot of topics that we kind of get stuck on. We get focused so much on one thing that we can't see what Spirit is offering as a solution. So beginner's mind for you will look very different than what it is for me or what it is for somebody else. But the point of the video was to offer you a moment to detach and to see a beginner's mind on an otherwise situation that was very closed-minded and narrow. Breathwork and introducing play are one of the two biggest things that we can focus on. And I want you to take the opportunity to sit back and go, How did you feel when you began this journey on a spiritual evolution, on a spiritual enlightenment journey? How did you feel? And most often you felt eagerness and excitement, inspiration and empowerment. And so I want you to go back to those feelings, those excitement and creative moments at the beginning of your journey, and to incorporate that into what you're experiencing right now. Again, it's going to look different for everybody. When you focus on the excitement of learning something new, you now bring this fresh perspective into your reality. Another way we can incorporate beginner's mind into our current situation, into our current reality that we're experiencing, is by offering the motto, slow and steady wins the race. Nothing is a race. Nothing requires you to cross a finish line. It is all about learning and growth. And if we can take away the seriousness for a second and realize that every single day we get to wake up and choose again, if we can remember that life won't wait. And the number one message that I've received from departed loved ones is how simple life is how simple and short life is. And so when we can remember the bigger picture in what otherwise we see as something serious and as, you know, kind of like that straight and narrow path, life is beautiful and has many curves and many winds and many roads that we can take. And we need to remember that by using beginner's mind whenever we feel a roadblock or whenever we feel stuck in a certain situation. To just go back to the beginning and remember why you decided you were going to go on this healing journey in the first place, and to bring that new life into this current situation that we're experiencing. So I encourage you to go a little bit deeper into this conversation with yourself after the video is over. And I encourage you to explore what beginner's mind means to you and how it feels good to you. So thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Spiritual Life Coaching, Beginner's Mind. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and like and subscribe and click the bell for all the notifications. And if this video resonated with you, go ahead and share it with a friend. So thanks again for joining in, and tune in next week for another episode of Spiritual Life Coaching with myself.